everybody, this is Jason. Welcome back for another draft at the Draft Factory. Unfortunately, there was an audio hiccup this week, so all my matches are going to have post-match commentary this time around. Anyway, Eldritch Moon is just around the corner, so this is going to be our final draft for Triple Shadows over Innistrad. For today's very special draft, I have a sweet blue-white tempo deck for you. I managed to get lucky with some really good 2-drops, which honestly is the weakest part of the Shadows blue-white deck. I start on the draw here, but 2-drop, 3-drop, removal, and 4 lands is a pretty solid start, especially when you have a looter to pitch any extra lands you draw into. My opponent gets an early start with a turn 1 Loam Dryad, but a couple tap lands slow him down, and he gets outpaced pretty quickly when he has no response to my 2-drop, 3-drop start. He plays out a Wildfield Scarecrow on turn 4 to wall up and get back into the game, but my Research Scholar digs me into an Angelic Purge, which I decide to use immediately to keep my opponent from getting too comfortable on defense. I'm not in a race right now, but by taking out an early blocker this way, I'm able to keep putting pressure on my opponent while I use my looter to keep digging for more gas. I should note that if I didn't have Declaration in Stone in my hand, I probably would have just held on to the Angelic Purge for a bigger threat. My opponent passes with 5 mana open, leaving me wary of what he might have in his hand. After looting, I decide to drop my Drownyard Explorers to use up all my mana, and then pass the turn without attacking, in case he's leaving his mana open to cast a Pack Guardian. The next turn plays out much the same way, with my opponent playing a creature but still holding up 4 mana. Since I want to guarantee I can get some value out of Pious Evangel, I forego attacking one more turn in case he's holding Puncturing Light or Silver Strike. When I finally get around to attacking, my opponent has that Puncturing Light for me, and I blank the spell by flipping my Pious Evangel and sacking my creature to it instead. I could have countered it with Confirmed Suspicions, but he would have just double blocked with his Loam Dryad and Topplegeist once I tapped out, forcing me to trade it off anyway. And I wouldn't have had the mana to rebuild my board again by playing out my Nibblisk of Dusk. My opponent's played very few creatures over the course of the game, and that could either be because he's been flooded out, or because he's hoping to lynch me with a Descend Upon the Sinful. Since I'm in a superior board state, I decide to just use Press into Service next turn to pressure my opponent. When he slams down a Watcher in the web next turn, I know I've got him on the ropes. After some careful deliberation, I decide the best way to close the game quickly is to just nuke his Watcher off the board so I can crack in with the whole team. Unfortunately, my opponent disconnects after I cast Declaration in Stone and never comes back, and eventually it results in a timeout loss.